Yes, it's a pleasure to have all of you this morning. Wishing you a very good morning to all of you. And a thank you for joining in for a subject which is not glamorous, but serious enough to listen to a panel put together of learned men who will put forth to you all the aspects of living beyond life. Even in death, we can be useful for the community. Instead of burning our bodily assets or burying them 6 feet below the ground, you could be saving lives and giving sight to the blind. We at the District 3141, under the leadership of the District Governor, Rotarian Sunil Mehra, and an Avenue team with me, which is with 4 zonal heads and co-chairs and chairs with them, highly committed, dedicated, and will be working hard to make people aware as to how easy it is and a telephone call away by your family, and you shall be able to serve the community even after death. This is also a training program for each one of you that after 90 minutes you spend with us this morning will enable you to be a spokesman in the community for this noble cause. We are explaining from the last 3 or 4 years to the community that as you make a will for all your worldly possessions, you must have the will to pledge your organs. We have conveyed this noble thought through a film, and I would request Rotarian Hima Dalal to please play this film to set the mood for this morning. Hima?
Yeah.
With us PDG Raju Subramaniam, who's our advisor on this avenue. And he's very enthusiastic about this subject for several years, and we are glad that he's our advisor this year, along with Rotarian Sunil Keswani. I would request Rotarian Raju, past district governor, to kindly bless us and give us his margadarshan on this day. Over to you, Raju.
Thanks, Harminder. I can't do both the things that you have asked me for. Blessings are from the Lord, the parents, and the teachers. So I can only give good wishes. That is one. 2, Margdarshan, you have one man sitting out there from my club, Sunil Keswani, who actually sets the blaze going. So far as I'm concerned, I think that, this is one thing which we need to spread. We as Rotarians, when we extend our hand, we don't ask for anything. we extend our hand to give. And that giving, in my view, must continue even after we cease to exist in limb and body, but only in soul. And I think, it is essential, therefore, that we need to spread awareness about this. There are lots of misgivings among people, and I think we need to spread that awareness. And before we spread awareness, we need to also remember that if we are going to ask people to sign up and donate, we need to be the first to pledge and sign up to donate. Because if we don't pledge ourselves, then there is no question it is hypocritical to ask somebody else. So we must be convinced about the fact that what we are doing by pledging to donate is, in fact, by this donation, we believe that it can change the lives of many whom we leave behind in this mortal world when we depart from this world. And statistics tell me that if you can donate 8 life-saving organs, up to 75 people can be benefited or their lives can be improved. Sunil, correct me if I'm wrong. I have read this somewhere and I may be wrong in what I'm saying, but this is what I've read when I've gone into the net. And the second thing is that when there are people, there needs to be, according to me, we should also be the creators of a new genre of rules. These rules are so absurd. Just now we lost a very, very dear friend, Vinay Singh. Lakshmi was very keen on donating the corneas as well as the skin. The skin, Sunil told me there is something that cannot happen during COVID times. So far as the corneas are concerned, there was no issue except that because it's a COVID hospital, they will not take a cornea from a non-COVID patient. According to me, I think is absurd. We need to do something about this in that regard to create that the benefit of organ donation really can be when there is a person willing to donate and that donation does not happen. It breaks your heart. Lakshmi was quite upset that this happened. Now take the case of a cornea. You are giving sight to somebody and you are giving them the pleasure of seeing the world as you and I do. Don't you think that's the biggest service that we can do? We talk about service of ourselves. Isn't this the great service of ourselves that we will be doing? I truly believe that cornea donations, tissue donation, etc. are some things that can be done easily, including donation of organs. And I think we should be the first to actually pledge ourselves and do it. Take the case of a simple lady, Madam Agarwal. She was a burns victim who has been today alive in the world, leading an independent life, thanks to the organ donation by somebody and the grafting that has been done. Shouldn't this be the life that we must wish for our brothers and sisters? I'll leave you all to think on this, my friends. But I think there are enough eminent people who are going to talk to you on this. And I personally believe that each one of us who are here today in this meeting must today, before we leave, pledge our organs for donation. Because aaj hum hain, kal ka suraj kisne dekha, pata nahi. So let us all do it before the sun rises tomorrow so that we have done our pledge for organ donation. All the best for this seminar and all the very best, Harminder and Sunil and all the panelists. Unfortunately, I have to leave because I have a commitment for a Rotaractors program, which I have to go to at 11:15. So I will have to leave and I don't think I'll be able to come back because that will last till 1. Thank you very much for inviting me, Harminder, and having me here and giving me the opportunity to share a few thoughts. All the best for this seminar. Thank you.
Pleasure, Raju. That was very nice of you and very thoughtful that charity begins at home and we Rotarians should be the first and most important people to pledge and lay the roadmap for this great cause.
Bye.
Well, I will not keep you waiting from hearing the speakers of the day, and I will request Rotarian Shefali Shah, the past secretary of Rotary Club of Bombay West, to please take forward this section of the morning. Shefali, over to you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Harminder. Good morning, friends from India, all over India and abroad. Great to have you all over here on a Sunday morning. Surely will be a very fruitful morning, I'm sure of that. So our first speaker for this morning is a very dynamic Rotarian, Jhankar Gadkari, founder of AEIOU Consulting, a firm specializing in emotional quotient profiling, workshops, and coaching in business etiquette and cross-cultural competencies. Jhankar was also the founder, director, and chief training officer of Meta Human Consultancy, again, a venture dedicated to and having its core in emotional quotient. He is an associate of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. He holds a degree in law with public and private international laws as major. He has also secured his master's in law with air and outer space laws as major. A degree in commerce, diploma in financial management. Jhankar is a certified coach, profiler for emotional quotient and certified to conduct effective personal productivity. A TEDx speaker, panelist on various educational institutions, he has often been invited to speak on a range of subjects in India and abroad. He has been associated with Rotary International, where he has worked in core areas of peace and world understanding, education, health, youth development. Also, he has actively participated in rural development in Maharashtra and Israel. He has led delegations from India, championing world peace overseas at global forums. Jhankar is also the key architect of mega international conferences for Rotary International. I could go on, but let me give it over to Jhankar so that we don't miss out on his presentation. Over
Thank
to
you
you.
so much. Thank you so very much. Thanks, Shefali, for your erudite presentation. And let me welcome everybody from Rotary, my colleagues, DDGs, DGs to be and DGs presently. Sunil, I guess you're here, so welcome, Sunil. And thank you very much for inviting me to lead this today morning talk on organ donation. And what a lovely day to start given Sunday, because the most noble of the causes that one can actually do is to live beyond life. And not only that, but to ensure that somebody gets a quality of life or maybe saves someone's life. I've been given 15 minutes to speak on skin donation, so I'll have to be very quick and to the point. I'm going to be sharing, Aslam, I'm going to be sharing my screen. So can I take the permission now? Aslam, are you okay with that?
Yeah, Aslam.
Yeah, I got it. Harminder, I can see you. So just tell me, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see.
You can see the screen. Okay, lovely. So this is going to be a quick presentation on 15 minutes because we have got some other experts. Quresh is going to be speaking on eyes and somebody else on organ donation, so on and so forth. So this is a very, very quick presentation. The reason I say this, that why quick, is since Rotary has taken upon itself responsibility of promoting the awareness of organ donation, it becomes a very, very important area for us to personally understand what it entails. Because as Raju has mentioned earlier, that, and also has Harminder, that there are more myths attached to this area than the reality. And we need to take care of those myths personally as Rotarians who are driving this program in organ donation before we are able to do anything about it. Yes, of course, no doubt about it, that we need to pledge our organs as a person, as people who are promoting this program. So charity begins at home. So well, anyway, this is a presentation which is dedicated to all those who have lived after or beyond their lives, all those people who have done it in the past. So let me just clear up a few things which Raju also mentioned earlier, that there are certain myths, there are certain misconceptions, there are certain misunderstanding about this subject, and let us understand this to begin with. And I'm sure the following speakers are going to be speaking on this, so I'm going to just touch upon all these things. Humans can donate vital organs and tissues. When we talk about organ donations, my friend, we can divide organ donations into two parts: tissue donation and organ donation. When we talk about organ donation per se, medically, it would mean vital organ donations, and tissue donations would mean non-vital organ donations. So that's the first differentiation. And that's what Raju was trying to mention, because he picked it up from the net. Now, how many organs can one person donate? He can donate, or rather save, 8 people's life. There is 1 heart to be donated. There is 1 liver. There are 2 lungs, 2 kidneys, 1 pancreas, and 1 small intestine. So it comes to a complete total of 8. How many tissues, big and small? Let's not go much into details of it. A person can donate 75. In other words, a tissue once donated can make somebody's life far better. And how many such things can be donated? 75 of them. 2 are the main tissues which we all know about it, and we are going to discuss that a little more thoroughly. One is the cornea, that is related to eyes, and the second one is skin. Okay, so this is the pictorial depiction of life-saving and healing and organs and tissues. The difference between organ donation and tissue donation is organ donation definitely saves somebody's life. The first differentiation. When you are donating vital organs, it saves somebody's life, whereas when you donate tissues, it enhances somebody's quality of life. It also can save somebody's life. For example, skin can save somebody's life, but this is a small differentiation which I wanted to give it to you. And the same thing has been depicted pictorially and graphically here is that one donor, theoretically, I'm talking theoretically, okay, can save almost up to, in fact, 8 lives, and one donor can heal up to 75 lives. And that is by giving tissues. This is the graph which I want all of you to mull over. And this is the most important and the most impacting graph that I want you to take home with. The one on top says organ donation per million people, PMP. What does that mean? Per million people, how many people donate organs? I look at the figures here. Spain. In Spain, 48 people in 10 lakh people donate organs. PMP, 10 million. 1 million is 10 lakh. Okay. Croatia, 41, so on and so forth, and come down to Poland, which is 12. So 12 people out of 10 lakh people donate organs. What is the reason for it? Absolute awareness and the economic, or rather a medical legislation which is attached to in various countries. Now let me show you the reality of life. India's population, my friends, is 1.38 billion as of day before yesterday. It is 18% of the world population. How much? We occupy almost about 20% of the world population. We accommodate that kind of a thing in the subcontinent called India. And what is our PMP? Our PMP is pathetically 0.5. In other words, in every 20 lakh people, there is only one donor. How do you like that? Because if you go by the PMP, that is per million, so for every million, there is half a man. There cannot be half a man. So every 20 lakh people, there is one person donating organs. And this is what I'm trying to give you. And that is what I want all of us to take home, because these impacting figures are making us to drive this cause more emphatically and more sincerely. Simply speaking, it is one person in 20 lakh people. Why so? Is because there are more myths attached to this entire area than the facts. And we need to dispel the myths. That is the only thing that you and me can do. As Rotarians, we can go from place to place, organization to organization, institution to institution, maybe corporates to corporates, arranging such seminars and such kind of workshops, whereby we are able to dispel as much amount of myths that are attached to it and only give the reality and fact. That is your duty and that is my duty as Rotarians, because we have vowed, we have taken this as an oath. These are the problems which are attached to promoting organ donations. Religious myths. And I don't want to go much into it, but yes, suffices to say that there are religious myths which prevent person to even look into the fact about organ donation. Professional ignorance, apathy to the cause, afraid of discussing donation. We don't want to discuss it because don't know what to do because ignorance completely. Scared about the bad reputation. Fear of litigation कि अगर कुछ कर लिया तो कोई घर वाला कुछ और कुछ न कर लेगा. Or and poor communication. So we have to establish a very important and a very effective communication line so that our message of organ donation reaches every corner of the city and beyond. And I'm going to be speaking personally on skin in a very short time, for a very short time. Skin for life, we can reuse skin by donating skin. Very, very typical situation about skin, and there could be nobody else better than my friend Dr. Sunil Keswani to talk about this, but he has given me this opportunity to speak on this. And this man has been doing this for so many years that I remember it. And I'm glad to say that he's a part and parcel of my club, and he has been driving this Operation Restore along with various other clubs to its basic glory. The largest organ in the body is skin, my friend. Rather, it's a tissue, but it can be termed as organ. What do you want to know about skin? And this is something which you also need to take home. These are the realities of skin donation. And this is for Rotarians awareness. All those who have joined us, either Rotarian, non-Rotarian, all are welcome because this is a subject which is for everybody from India and abroad. Anybody above 18 can donate skin. That's the first thing you need to take. Skin, when it is harvested or when it is taken after the person dies, is taken only to the tune of 0.3 mm thickness of skin is taken. It is to be donated within 6 hours of the person's death. These are few facts which you need to remember. Skin is taken from the thighs and the legs and the back of the person who is dead. There is no bleeding and there is no disfigurement. It's the biggest fear for everybody. It will be disfigured. We don't want to have the body which is disfigured. The areas which are used to take the skin are very properly bundled, very properly bandaged. I've seen it personally, and I must say it's a beautiful job that is done. And it's a great amount of donation that you can do, because once you understand what is the repercussion of your skin donation, you realize the kind of noble cause that you are promoting. Skin can be stored in the skin bank for the period of 5 years, which is the maximum number. All other organs and tissues cannot be preserved for such a long time as much as skin can be. Most importantly, and that is one thing which we all need to know, is that there need not be any match. Most of the vital organs which need to be given from one to the other require matching. As much as you know, a simple donation of blood requires matching. Skin doesn't require matching. It is just like a bandage which goes on a given wound or a burn, and it is peeled out as much as it is a cover. Simple. There's no matching involved. No, who cannot give skin? Very few. People who have AIDS, people who are infected with HIV, skin cancer, hepatitis B and C, jaundice, STD, and active skin disease. So these are very exceptional cases where people can't give skin. Diabetic and hypertension, which is normally with any other old person, can donate their skin. Yes, they can. Donor skin can be harvested at home after that. You did not go to the hospital or to a very formal medical institution to do this particular act of it. It can be done at your own houses. If somebody dies, all that they need to do is call up the nearest skin bank. We'll talk about that. And the skin bank people come, do the needful, bandage the person concerned, and go back home. India's burning story. Let me tell you what is the India's burning story. India records 70 lakh burn injuries cases annually. Very, very high. 1.4 lakh people die every day because of skin. Every year, I'm sorry, because of skin. 50% of them could have been saved had it been for enough amount of skin which was available in the skin banks. Around 70% of the burnt victims are in the most productive age, that is between 15 and 35. 4 out of 5 burn cases are women, incidentally, unfortunately. 80% of the cases admitted as a result of the kitchen accidents. And I've seen those victims and very pathetic stories year on year, because our club has been involved in Operation Restore, which is driven very, very effectively by none other than Dr. Sunil Keshwani for so many years. And when you get to know the stories, they're really horrible stories and horrifying stories. Most common usage of donated skin. Most common usage is for burn victims. Because the only way to cover the burn victims' wounds and the burns is by covering it up with somebody's skin. And most of the burn victims die only because of infection attached to the burnt victim's wound. So it saves life. Yes, it does save life. Not only that it adds value to your life, but it saves life of anybody who has got a very high degree of burns and he needs to cover it up, because no ordinary bandages cannot work here. So the best bandage is somebody else's skin. Other usages are diabetic ulcers, orthopedic trauma, road accidents, bed sores, and any infected wounds. Why is skin donation required? Why is it required? It reduces pain, decreases infection significantly, increases survival rate. I just told you. Lessens the hospital stay, reduces cost of treatment. How long can different organs last outside the body? This is interesting fact which you need to know. Heart or lungs can last for not more than 10 hours. Livers and pancreas can last not for more than 12 hours. Kidneys, 30 hours. Cornea, 3 days. With special care, it can be stored for 2 weeks. But yes, skin can be stored and be used for a full period of 5 years. And that is where skin banks come into picture. And that is where a huge man called Satya Agarwala comes into picture. A man who has promoted this, the man who has been responsible for several skin banks, not only in India, but also in Sri Lanka. Please give him a big round of applause for the fact that he is doing such a great amount of work. So skin banks, yes, we need skin banks to store the skin, which can be stored for 5 years. India needs more organ donations and donors. Why? 4 lakh people die every year waiting for the transplant. And as Harminder mentioned it before the beginning of the meeting, that all that happens is the bodies are wasted. Dead is wasted. You just burn them. You just bury them. There is somebody waiting if you really make use of that. And this man is really passionate about it. I have never seen somebody more passionate than Harminder is, as far as skin donation is concerned. This man dreams, he eats everything as far as skin donation is concerned. उसको 2 बजे उठा दो उठ जाएगा बंदा. और एक बंदा है हमारे पास जिसका नाम है गिरीश, उसके बारे में कुरेश बात करेगा. ये और एक चीज है हमारे को करवानी पड़े या तो करो. जहां कोई कंट्रीज में है वो सुनने ले जैसी बात है. Consent to donate organs. As we have been speaking about it right now, we are talking about the will to be created, donors card, pledging card, etc., etc. मतलब it is a consent which is my option. मैं करना चाहता हूं कि नहीं. But in certain countries, it is assumed that the person who dies has given the consent unless somebody says no to it. The assumption of consent is given in certain countries, but the assumption of consent is not given in certain countries. One of the countries is ours, that is India. Let me tell you the consent which opt-in consent, which means I have to give a consent that bhaiya hamare organs after me can be given as donation, or my body can be given to science, etc. So the consent in countries are India, US, UK, and Germany, and consent out is Spain, Israel, Austria, and Singapore. There are many more, but I've just given you a few just to let you know what the concept is all about. It is a presumed consent unless said no. So in these countries, जो भी बंदा भगवान के घर जाता है तो उसकी बॉडी का जो भी हिस्सा है, it is given as a part and parcel of donation. Whereas here we need to take a very conscious consent in India. Need of the hour for Rotarians, and this is a message to me before I leave. Complete awareness and what we are going to speak, please make a note of it. And Harminder and anybody who is in charge of this entire seminar, please share all these information to everybody. It is for everybody. Everybody who is here should be given this PPTs, some small amount of information, good enough for you to give information which is authentic and which is realistic. So complete awareness for all Rotarians. We have to dispel the myths. बहुत myths hai, and have to ensure that the realities prevail. Rope in a brand ambassador, very important. This is what will work. If you have a brand ambassador, a celebrity of some kind, many things work better. अगर आज अमिताभ बच्चन कुछ बोल देता है तो सब लोग मान लेते हैं. अगर हम चिल्ला चिल्ला के बोलेंगे 2 बूंद पोलियो के ले लो, कोई पूछेगा नहीं हमारे को, वो फर्क पड़ता है. Okay, sensitize the families, the most important. And this is what Girish does, Dr. Girish does. Sensitizing the families. अरे हमने यहाँ बहुत सारे कमिटमेंट कर दिए, बहुत सारे प्लेजेस कर दिए. हमारे जाने के बाद तो बॉडी हमारे फैमिली के पास होती है. अगर उन्होंने कर दिया, बोल दिया कि नहीं देना है, तो आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते. Families need that sensitization. Last minute में a person's donor card is in place, the will is in place, the pledge is in place, everything is in place, but the family says you can't touch the body. क्या करोगे आप? कुछ नहीं कर सकते. और ये सबसे बहुत महत्वपूर्ण चीज है जो कि somebody like गिरीश करता है, डॉक्टर गिरीश करता है. An on ground reality and on ground Rotarian. 15 मिनट बात करेगा. He will counsel the families, convince them why it is necessary for do it, and he has by far been able to give taken corneas of almost about 2,000 people and maybe more, and he is counting still. So look at the great amount of job that he has done. Yes, the third and the fourth and the fourth and the most important thing is counseling. It doesn't require counseling only for the people that are present at the moment, but we need counseling for families, and that's the most important part. You can pledge skin online, and these are the online addresses: www.skindonation.in. This is the skin bank, which is run by my friend Dr. Sunil Keshwani, who is today hosting it for all of us. National Burn Center, and it has a Rotary Skin Bank which has been running for last so many years by Bombay North, Rotary Club of Bombay North, Satya Agarwal, and various other Dharmendra, various other people are managing all these things very, very effectively. My club, that is Rotary Club of Devnar, is also involved in doing this. There is a skin donation helpline which can be noted. I'm going to be requesting the host to share this presentation with everybody because it's a very short time and a short period. We can't go much into the details of it, but suffices to give you good amount of information as high points of all these things. And that's all I need to share with you. Thank you very, very much. Jankar Gadkari is my name. Everybody knows me. I know most of you. So lovely speaking to you. Any questions, if there are any, we will field it little later, but let Quresh go now. Thank you.
Thank you, Rotarian Jankar. That was a very, very informative, lot of information that you gave us and got us thinking. What I could see is a lot of hands coming up and a lot of questions coming up. We definitely will address, but let's hear out all the speakers for the day.
That is better. Yes,
and then we'll address to the questions. Also, we will circulate this presentation with everybody after the entire
Jankar, you
session.
need to stop doing screen share.
Sorry?
Stop.
Yeah, I will right away. Quresh, you can speak in Kolhapuri Urdu.
We'll wait for the formal invite.
Which that man did on All India Radio. It was in Marathi, but he spoke in Kolhapuri Urdu. Okay. Yeah, carry on. Yeah.
So we'll learn one more new language, Kolhapuri
Yes,
Urdu.
yes,
I'm
Kolhapuri
waiting for
Urdu.
that. So our next speaker this morning is Dr. Rajesh Himmat Ramka. He's
Okay.
a practicing orthopedic surgeon at KEM Hospital. Dr. Rajesh, after his MBBS, has specially trained in fracture management and joint replacement from Germany. He has been very actively involved in the organ donation avenue of the Rotary service. Dr. Rajesh is routinely doing the organ donation awareness with his patients in his clinical practice. He's also been educating and creating awareness on the same by way of giving lectures. So far, he's crossed over 100 lectures. He has been talking one-to-one with his patients, and that number is over 1,600. He's quite passionate about the cause. So let's hear more from him. Over to you, Dr. Rajesh.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all PDGs and DG. I'm Dr. Rajesh Himatramka. I'll be speaking on organ donation. Can I share the screen, Aslam?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Perfect, Aslam?
Yes,
Yeah. Am I audible?
absolutely.
Yes,
Go
you
ahead.
are. Go ahead.
Okay. So let us first understand. I'm sure everyone would have heard about organ donation. It's a lot in the media nowadays. First, let us start with a very basic stuff. I'll try to put down in the layman's language from the medical language. So first understand what is an organ. See, like a machine has a small parts to make it run, a body has small organs to make it run, like liver, kidney, heart, lung. Now, what is organ donation? Whenever an organ like liver, lung gets diseased, you cannot treat it with the medicine. What you need is that organ has to be replaced by some other human being's organ. So when one human being donates the organ to the another human being, that is known as organ donation. The one who donates the organ is known as the donor. The one who receives the organ is known as the recipient. Now, why such a hue and cry of organ donation? Maybe 10-15 years back, we are not used to listen much of organ donation. The reason being very simple, that because of the advancement in medical science, the life expectancy of the person is going on increasing. Initially, people used to remain alive maybe for 60, 70 years. Now they remain alive for 80 to 90 years. But there comes a drawback with that. What happens as your age increases, the chances of developing diabetes, increased blood pressure increases in the human beings. So when this problem arises, it at the same time affects your kidney, heart. And when this gets affected, what you need is organ donation. I hope you're understanding this concept. I'll repeat once more. The life expectancy of people is increasing because of advancement of medical science. But as the age is increasing, more and more people are developing diabetes, hypertension. So more and more people are getting affected by kidney and heart. That's why more and more organ donation is required. That's why such a big need of organ donation nowadays. Now, who can donate organs? Broadly, we can divide donor who can donate into two. One is living donor, that is a living person donating his organ. Second is deceased donor or a dead donor. Now, in dead donor also, we have two kinds of death. See, medical science recognizes two kinds of death. One is a natural death, what you see at home. It is a cardiac death. It is a heart death. There is another concept in medical science known as brain death, which few of you may not be knowing. So I'll first explain you a little bit on brain death. I'll repeat once more. Two kind of donors. One is living donor, living person donating organ. Second, dead donor donating organ. In that donor also, you have two types. One is natural death at home, that is cardiac death, and second is brain death. So now I'll explain you something on brain death. Now, what is a brain death? See, brain death is a death of a person in which the heart functions for some time, but your brain is dead. Now, what are the characteristics of the brain death? There is an irreversible loss of consciousness. There is absence of respiration. If you do EEG, for heart we have ECG, for brain we have EEG. There will be a flat EEG and there will be loss of brainstem reflexes. But as I told you, in brain death, heart is functioning for some time, so the body organs get the blood supply. Now we see this brain death commonly when there is a lethal head injury, like in road accidents, or if a person develops brain hemorrhage. These are the two main causes of brain death. Besides, other also can cause brain death, like tumor, like what we call brain cancer. Sometimes infection in the brain can also cause brain death. A brain dead person we will see always in the intensive care unit of the hospital, and his blood pressure and respiration are artificially maintained by the ventilator. So this was about the brain death. I'll again repeat, what is a brain death? Brain death is nothing but the death of the person. That person can never regain consciousness, is that. But his heart functions for some time, so the blood supply goes to the organ and those organs can be donated. So now we go again to the living person. What organs can be donated by a living person? That is a live donor. A live donor can donate one of his kidney from 2 kidneys. Liver has 2 portions. 1 portion he can donate. There are 2 lungs. 1 lung he can donate. Besides that, he can regularly donate blood and bone marrow. What organ donation can be done after natural death? That is when you are at home. There is a cardiac death. What organs can be donated? Commonly donated organs are eyes, that is cornea, and skin. These are the 2 common donation occurring right now. Besides that, other organ donation that can be done if the death occurs at home are heart valves, bones, tendons, cartilage, vein and arteries, middle ear bones. See, commonly I'm an orthopedic surgeon. We do this bone donation is coming up in a big way, because in a lot of my orthopedic surgeries, I require artificial bone. So what we are doing nowadays is that we are taking it from the person who is dead. So this can be taken when there is a death at home. So these are the organs that can be donated after natural death. Now, what are the organs that can be donated after brain death? All organs: kidneys, lung, heart, pancreas, small intestine, voice box, hands, middle ear bone, eyes and skin, as that can be donated in natural death, it can be donated in brain death also. Bone, cartilage, tendon, vein, artery, nerves, fingers and toes, almost everything can be donated within certain time limit till the patient is on ventilator. As I told you, brain death patients are generally in the ICU of a hospital on ventilator. All organs can be donated. I think I'll repeat once more. Who can donate? Live donor, living person donating. That donor, one is from the natural death at home and another brain death patient in the hospital. Now, this is the Transplantation of Human Organ Act. In India, organ donation is guided by this law known as Transplantation of Human Organ Act, which was passed in Parliament on July 8, 1994, and it has been regularly amended. Now, what is the main salient features of this act? 1, it recognizes the brainstem death. As I told you, it recognizes the brain death. Brain death is being certified as a dead person. Second, it governs how the organ donation should be done. You know, what are the protocols for organ donation? Third, and most important, is that it prevents organ trafficking and commercial dealing. You cannot sell your organs. It cannot be given with the exchange of money. Very important. Now, the most important problem in India, organ donation rate, which I suppose everyone knows, it's a very bad organ donation rate in India. I think Dr. Jhankar Gadkari has put that input. I'll repeat. In India, out of 20 lakh people, only 1 people is donating. In US, out of 10 lakh, the old figure is 26. Yes, that has definitely increased now to about 40. And in Spain, out of 10 lakh, 36 to 40 are donating. See the difference, the stark difference. In India, out of 20 lakh, only 1 people. In USA, out of 10 lakh, maybe 35, 40. In Spain, it has gone to 45 out of 10 lakh. In India, another statistics, in India, 5 to 7 lakh people die annually for want of organ donation. Another statistics, in India, annually, about 1.5 to 2 lakh kidneys required, but only 8,000 people get it. Liver, 40 to 50,000 required, only 1,700 to 1,800 gets it. Heart, 15,000 required, only 250 get it. Cornea, 2.5 lakh required, only 60,000. Now, this is the figure of 2019. We are happy that Maharashtra is leading now. Maharashtra in 2019 had given 88 donations, followed by Tamil Nadu 66, Telangana 64. Till 2018, Tamil Nadu was the leading state. Now, why such a bad organ donation rate in India? We need to understand that, and that's what we are working at, so much of awareness and training program on organ donation. I personally feel that the poor organ donation rate in India is more because there is less awareness among people about organ donation. 1. Second, there is lack of trust among people as far as organ donation is concerned. And third and most important, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions about organ donation. We need to clarify on that. So now I'll be talking to you on myths and misconception and some frequently asked questions on organ donation. So let us start on that. People say, if I do organ donation, my funeral is not possible. My body will get disfigured. No, that's never a case. When a doctor removes your organ, it is removed in such a way that no one can make out that your organ is removed. It is properly stitched and dressed. So you need not worry on that. No one can make out that the organ donation work. Only a small dressing would be seen. So please remove that myth that if you do an organ donation is done, your body gets disfigured. That's never the case. Second misconception, my religion doesn't support organ donation. Let me tell you, all major religion in the world support organ donation. I have heard people telling, if I donate my eyes, I'll be born blind in my next birth. That's never the case. I don't suppose any of the religion tells that. In fact, I would say in Hindu Dharma, Ganesh ji was maybe the first candidate of organ donation, in the form of a head transplant of an elephant. So I think we should follow the religion, and religion definitely supports the organ donation. Third misconception, and the biggest misconception, if I tell of organ donation, doctor won't treat me. He will in fact kill me for the organ donation. Sorry, that's never the case. I myself is a doctor. Believe doctors never do such things. In fact, I'll put that there is a protocol that whenever there is a brain death in the hospital, there is a committee of 4 doctors who will come, assess, certify that you are dead. And again, after 6 hours, they will come, again assess you and certify that you are dead. That means in a gap of 6 hours, you are being assessed twice. And these 4 doctors are independent doctors. They are not related anyway to the doctor who's going for organ donation. So a non-biased opinion. So please remove that misconception from your brain that if you tell for organ donation, doctors won't treat you. There is a definitely protocol in place which will tell that organ donation is very safe. Yes, another misconception. If a doctor sees my donor card again, he will not save my life. That is never a case. Even if you have signed even if you have pledged your organs, you have a donor card after your death. If your family members and relatives refuse for organ donation, it cannot be done. Remember that. Even if you have a donor card, you are dead. But if your relatives refuse, your organs won't be given. That's a legality. I hope you all understand that. Just signing a form and getting a donor card doesn't make you the candidate for organ donation. Your family members have to give the consent for organ donation. Then only organ donation be done. Oh, that is again a big thing. Wealthy, if I donate my organs, it will be given to the wealthy and influential people. Oh, I suppose in my as Shefali madam was telling that I do a lot of one-to-one organ donation awareness with my patient. These questions I many times I get, doctor, what that organs will be given to the people who are influential and for the exchange of the money. I told you earlier, under the Transplantation of Human Organ Act, it is never possible. A proper waiting list of organ donor and organ donation is being made by one committee known as ZTCC, Zonal Transplant Coordination Committee. There is a Zonal Transplant Coordination Center. It is based in Sion Hospital in Mumbai. So you don't worry, whenever you donate an organ, it will go to the person as per the waiting list. That waiting list is based on a lot of criteria, like which organ you require, what is your emergency, how far you are from the person who wants to donate organ, and there are many other criteria. But be rest assured that it will not be given for the exchange of money or with some influence. Now, frequently asked question. People say, I am a diabetes. Can I be a donor? Yes, you can be a donor. Yes, at sometimes if a person is having severe diabetes for a very long time, his kidney and heart gets affected to that organ, that sometimes that may not be donated, but let your doctor decide. It is not that you have a diabetes and you can't donate. With diabetes also you can donate, your doctor will decide for that. So that's a misnomer that if I'm a diabetes, you can't be a donor. A diabetes can definitely be a donor. Second, cancer, I am having cancer, I can't be donor. I would say most of the cases, yes, if you have a cancer, you can't be a donor. See, in medical science, there is something called as a benign cancer. There's a benign swelling. So people in layman call them that also cancer, but those people can donate. But those who have a malignant cancer with metastasis, that means there is a transmission in other part of the body, they cannot donate. So it is yes and no. So that again, let your doctor decide whether if I am having a cancer, can I donate or not? Yes, I am having HIV. Can I donate? Definitely no. It's a big contraindication. HIV and any other infection in the body like hepatitis B or septicemia, you cannot donate the organs. How do I express my intent to donate? You can fill the forms. Rotary gives the forms. We have a website also where you can fill the forms and get the donor card. But I feel the more important is that you tell to your family members and relative your wish to donate organs. See, as I told you, even if you fill the form, get the donor card, but at the end, if after that, if a family member refuses, you cannot donate. So what is important is to tell that passionately to all your family members that you want to donate organs after that. That is what is more important, I feel. And that is what I and Dr. Girish Trivedi have always been talking on that. And we always feel that, that make your go to a family member and tell them very strongly that you want to donate organs. This is his ZTCC contact detail. It is at San Hospital, as I told you. This is his mobile number. Anyone interested? Email is also there. This is the main center. As I told you, they keep the waiting list of the organ donors and organ donations that to require, and organ donation is done by this way only. So friends, the take-home message is, it is our responsibility as citizens and as a true Rotarians to spread awareness about organ donation. Let us all ourselves become the brand ambassador for organ donation and inform about it to our family, friends, and other people in society at large. As a true Rotarian, I'm sure we can make a difference. We can improve all the organ donation rate. We can remove all myths and misconceptions, and let us make the world a better place to live. Today, other people require organs. Tomorrow, you will require organs. It's a circle that runs in the society. So friends, all of you, please do come, go out, tell to your family, friends, outside people about organ donation. You all have to be very, very passionate about organ donation. Thank you. I hope, I don't know how much I'm able to explain you, but thank you for your patient hearing. Donate organ, become a hero. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh. A very, very difficult concept, and you have made it very, very clear to all of us. So we thank you for that. Of course, I'm sure all of us have questions, but like I said earlier, please put them into the chat and we'll take it in the question answer session. Yeah. So let's move on to our next speaker, a very esteemed Dr. Quresh Muscati. Dr. Quresh, after studying graduation and post-graduation from KEM Hospital, super specialized in diseases of the cornea, he has over 24 scientific publications to his name in national and international journals, and is also the co-author for various chapters in ophthalmology. Simplifying Eye Care is his book published for the general public. Dr. Quresh was the president of All India Ophthalmic Society, president of Cornea Society of India, president of Bombay Ophthalmic Association, president of Maharashtra Society, and president of the Rotary Club of Bombay North. Wow. He is a recipient of Lifetime Achievement Award from International Society for Cornea and Keratorefractive Surgery. Dr. Quresh is the only ophthalmologist in Asia having extensive experience of the Pintaki keratoprothesis, and he is the only ophthalmologist in the world with the experience of performing both Boston keratoprosthesis and Pintaki keratoprosthesis. A fantastic orator at several international and national platforms, closely involved with charitable institutions and NGOs. Let me invite Dr. Quresh to share his in-depth knowledge. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Shefali. And when I was asked by Harminder to send a biodata, I deliberately sent only a single slide biodata. And you all have Googled this out from somewhere because it's irrelevant to the discussion at hand. Nevertheless, not to waste any time, let me straight away go to my presentation on eye donation. We will soon discover it. Yes.
Go ahead, Kulesh. And your biodata was so long, we had to Google it and make it more interesting because you are highly qualified.
But I
So,
didn't give you that
welcome.
biodata. Anyway, let's
Go ahead.
okay. So we're talking about everything you should know about eye donation and eye banking. And let's go very quickly. Some things will be, luckily previous speakers have highlighted and are common to skin and organ. So we'll be able to go a little faster, hopefully. So first, is there a need for eye donation? Just like there is a huge need for the organ donation, and Jankar pointed out the huge need for skin donation. Yes, there is a huge need. We collect only about 50 to 60,000 eyeballs per year. And during this COVID period of 4 months, we have dried up to almost zero in the last 4 months. So there are lakhs of people waiting for corneal transplant. And the tragedy is that most of them, the majority of people waiting are children and young adults. So this is peanuts, the numbers collected, considering that in Mumbai alone, almost 1 lakh of people die every year. I would say more than 1 lakh, but 1 lakh registered deaths, which is supposed to be compulsory. So is the whole eyeball used for transplant? No, only the thin transparent layer in front of the iris, like the glass in front of my Rolex watch. You can't see my Rolex watch, but those of you who can, there is the glass there. It's in the Rolex, it is flat, but otherwise it is dome-shaped cornea. And only that is transplanted, not the whole eyeball. So when that dome-shaped area is opaque, like you can see in the picture on the left, it is replaced by a cornea from a deceased person, and therefore that is clear now, and light goes right into the eye and patient can see. Does the human body reject the transplanted cornea? How successful are corneal transplants? The human cornea, fortunately, unlike the organs, that doesn't have any blood supply. So the risk of rejection is very low. Rejection, if it does occur, can be suppressed by timely medication, which is only eye drops. You don't have to give chemotherapy, immunosuppressive drugs like in organs, which are donated like the kidney, where the recipient is on lifetime immunosuppression. Here, the chances of success are greater than 80% that the cornea will remain clear. So it's a huge success rate. It is second only to perhaps hair transplant success rate. You see the pictures there, 2 years after surgery, you can see crystal clear cornea. That's the light of the camera, which is flashing inside. And 20 years after surgery, you can see that you can hardly make out that there is any corneal change over there. It looks so natural. So it remains clear for life. What is new in corneal transplants is the concept of lamellar transplant. Lamellar means previously we used to change the whole cornea. Like you can see in the picture on the left, the whole cornea was carved out and a new cornea was put into place, as the picture in the middle also. But now if only the upper portion of the cornea is damaged, then we change only the upper portion, and the lower portion can be used for somebody whose lower portion is damaged. So one donated cornea can be used to restore sight to 2 blind patients, or a person donating eyes can restore sight to 4 blind people. We haven't really moved too much into that. Most of our almost 90% are still 1:1, but we are getting there. What about corneas which are for some reason unfit for transplant? A cornea which was opaque, for example, in the beginning. So if it cannot be used, it's invaluable for research and training programs. We train our resident doctors, our junior doctors on how to cut tissue, how to stitch the tissue. So it's invaluable so that these corneas are not wasted. Nothing is ever wasted. Does corneal transplant guarantee sight to all blind people? No. As I said earlier, only those whose cornea are defective and the rest of the eye mechanism is intact can be helped. So the picture that you see on the left, the girl whose left eye, you can see the white opaque area. The whole cornea was opaque. That will be helped by a corneal transplant. In the middle picture, the central area is opaque. That will be helped by a corneal transplant. But in the last picture, that is the nerve of the eye, which you can see in the retina. So the nerve is damaged. It is white. It should have been pink. So the blindness is because of a nerve damage. So here, corneal transplant will not help. So what happens after the eye has been donated? After the eyes are removed, either at home or in the hospital, they're taken to the eye bank. And inside the eye bank, they are evaluated, they are processed, they're screened, The blood is collected, which is collected is screened for HIV, and then it is supplied to the eye surgeon for transplant. So there is a whole process which goes on. So what is an eye bank? An eye bank is the link between the donor and the recipient or the eye surgeon. So it's an organization recognized by the government under the Human Transplant Act to collect and distribute human eyes to those who require corneal transplants. As my previous speaker also said, the waiting list is very strict and it's a centralized waiting list which the government possesses also. So we keep adding names there, and the patients who are in top of the line in the waiting list get the transplant, get the cornea. It cannot be given out of line. Let's go on to some facts about how quickly should the eyes be removed after death. Ideally as soon as possible, but the eyes can be removed up to 6 hours after death. However, in places where the climate is hot, such as in most parts of India, a shorter duration, preferably 2 to 4 hours after death, is advisable. So is it necessary to transport the donor to the hospital after death? You don't need an ambulance. Just like for skin, the eye bank have personnel who will come to the donor's home or place of death and remove the eyes. So whether you're living in a jhopadi or you're living in a palace or a mansion, it doesn't matter. The eye bank team will come, provided you give them the correct address. So who can donate and who cannot donate? Let's do the easier part. Who can donate? Anyone. This is again similar to skin. Infant of 1 year, old woman of 100 years can donate. Any spectacle power, somebody who's wearing high minus spectacles or plus spectacles, or an operated patient, somebody who's had a cataract surgery, glaucoma surgery, retinal surgery, especially if the surgery has been done by Dr. Maskati, because he's a very skilled surgeon. So what happens is that he doesn't damage the cornea while doing a cataract, glaucoma or retinal surgery. But there are 2-3 other surgeons who are also fairly skilled in Mumbai. Any medical disease, this again has been emphasized by all the speakers: diabetes, high blood pressure, heart problem, obesity, beer belly, any cause of death, vehicular accident, stroke, suicide, heart attacks, cancers. This is for the cornea. Even cancers are perfectly all right because the cornea doesn't have blood supply. So who cannot donate their eyes after death? There are some WHO criteria which we follow. So those with nerve conditions, because the cornea has nerve supply, like rabies, which spreads by nerves, then severe septicemia. Patients with HIV is a contraindication to all donations. And most important, those whose relatives refuse donation. So if you see the picture there, and the relatives are fighting over the dead body, not a good ideal situation to get eye donation from. This has happened in the past with a governor of Maharashtra, Nawab Ali Yawar Jung, who donated his eyes. 3 days later, he died. I mean, we didn't do anything to hasten his death. He died of natural causes. But his Begum refused the donation to the JJ team, which went to the Raj Bhavan, because she says, I refuse. Nobody told me. So the Nawab had not told his Begum. So this is something which should not happen. If we are going to donate eyes, it's important to tell our near and dear ones. If you are married, to your family, otherwise to your mistress or whoever it is, tell them about your desire so that they can execute it and they will not refuse it, because as Jankar says, the body belongs to the relatives after death. This again has been very well covered by the previous speaker. Does any religion forbid eye donation? You know, actually, of course, we know that nothing like that is there. But some Muslim countries even have issued fatwas calling for eye donation. A fatwa is a command by the highest priest calling for something. So there was a fatwa for the death of Salman Rushdie for blasphemy. So similar things, there are fatwas for eye donation. So there are some good fatwas as well. So in Egypt and other countries, they're actually promoting this. So obviously the holy books and the holy scriptures don't forbid it at all. One good thing for us is that all these holy books have been written before eye donation came into existence. So it all depends on the interpretation of those books. Is the procedure cumbersome, time consuming with too many forms to be filled? No, it's extremely easy. Almost no paperwork is required. So what are the steps to be done? You just keep the cause of death for showing the eye bank team, because the eye bank team has to be sure that the person is dead. So you can even send the, if the family physician comes and certifies that the patient is dead. So that certificate can even be just WhatsApp to the eye bank team in advance. No need to go at 2 in the night to find photocopy machines, or additional copies are not necessary of anything. Nowadays, we have our phones which can take pictures. That is good enough. While you're waiting for the eye bank team, you close the eyes of the patient, switch off the fan, leave the air conditioner on if you have an air conditioner. If the death has occurred in a jhopadi, you don't have to purchase an air conditioner on the occasion. Keep wet cotton or gauze on the closed eyelids if possible. If possible, again, you don't have to go to a chemist and purchase wet cotton or gauze. Just keep the eyes closed and switch off the fan. That much is sufficient. If antibiotic eye drops are there in the house, put them frequently in both eyes. Otherwise, don't do anything. Just call the eye bank. In Mumbai, we have a 1919 number. The eye bank I am associated with is the EBCRC, Eye Bank Coordination and Research Center, which is at Haji Bacholi Hospital at Parel. So that numbers are listed here, 24162929. Most important is to give detailed address with landmarks. As I said in earlier Rotary meetings also, the landmarks should be immovable landmarks. We've had people saying, come to the gully where at the beginning there is a bhindi wali who is sitting over there, and come in and just go further ahead. They're all bhaji walas there. When you come to the banana seller, turn right. Unfortunately, the address was given at 7 in the evening. And by the time we reached at 8 in the evening, the banana seller had disappeared. So give address with landmarks which are little more immovable. When the eye bank team arrives, show the eye bank team the cause of death certificate. We are not talking about the municipal death certificate which comes after a week. Just what the family physician has given. The eye bank team will bring a form with them, get 2 relatives to sign the form. The relatives need not be the immediate relatives. Somebody has died, the son and daughter are living in the US. It doesn't matter. The 3rd cousin from the mother's side and the 4th cousin from the father's side, if present, can sign the form. There's no issue at all. And there is absolutely no other paperwork required. Clear the room of all unnecessary people, because we don't want people fainting while this is in progress. The eye bank technicians have their hands full removing the eyeballs. They don't want to revive fainted people, which has happened in the past. How long will it take? In Mumbai, the eye bank team, if the address is proper, will reach within an hour. We have almost 22 collection centers all over the city. So they come within an hour. The nearest collection center will reach you. And the procedure doesn't take time. It will be completed in just about 30 minutes or so, with a little blood taken as well at the same time. Is there any disfigurement of the face? After enucleation, the eyes are gently closed. This woman, you can see, had some makeup on her eyes and nothing is seen. There is no eyeball inside, but you can't make out anything. A few ml of blood is also collected from the vein or heart for testing for HIV, but there is zero disfigurement at all. Is any money involved? Again, as said by the previous speakers, eye donation like skin donation or organ donation, the donation is free. The eye bank does charge the recipient a processing fee, but in 70% of cases, this processing fee is waived as the recipient is poor. So our eye bank gives 70% of the corneas to JJ, Sion, KEM Hospital, Nair Hospital, etc., where there is no charges involved. So we don't take charges from these people. So 70% of all recipients in Mumbai are operated free of cost. Why not 100%? Because the eye bank has to run. We have technicians whom we pay. We have an eye bank manager whom we pay. The fluid in which the cornea is stored costs money. The air conditioning in the eye bank and the HEPA filters and such things all cost money to run. So the 30% of the recipients who are affording, we charge them a processing fee, which goes towards offsetting the cost of running the eye bank. So all eye banks are no profit, no loss eye banks, which depend on donations from the public, donations from Rotarians, Inner Wheel, etc., as well as the charges processing fee we take from those who can afford. How good is the quality of corneas? Should I go abroad for my corneal transplant? So the EBCRC has internationally trained technicians who process. So our technicians were internationally trained. Now we are training technicians from 30 countries. So in the pre-COVID era, we had people coming, technicians coming in from a lot of African and Asian countries and East European countries to train with our technician on how to grade corneal tissue. and each cornea is examined on a slit lamp and a specular microscope. So sophisticated equipment is used. That's on the left is the slit lamp, on the right is the specular microscope. So the quality of cornea issued compares to the best in the world. So if my eye bank says the tissue is good, then it is the same cornea, same quality as you will get from the US, where the eye bank says the tissue is good. And if it says it's fair, then it is fair. So there are grades of the tissue which is used for different grades of diseases, but the comparison is to the best in the world. Then there is something called HCRP. We try and promote this. It's called Hospital Cornea Retrieval Program. So what happens in the hospital, patients usually die suddenly, either as a vehicular accident or heart attacks or whatever. So the quality of the cornea is very good, and it is better than those who die at home out of a debilitating illness. They are weak, they've been suffering from 2-3 years, and then they die. So the quality of cornea from the hospital cornea retrieval program is usually better than from home deaths. So we try and promote this the hospital deaths in a big way. For example, EBCRC, which is located in Bachuali at Parel, is very close to Tata and the KEM hospital. So we send the grief counselor. We have a grief counselor who sits in KEM hospital from morning 2 shifts. And whenever there is a death occurs, they go and do grief counseling and explain to the potential donor families the importance of cornea donation. Because we value the donations from the hospital. EBCRC is Rotary supported in a big way. My own club, Rotary Club of Bombay North, gives them regular donations, and we are grateful to them. Let's come to what role can a Rotary or Innoville club play. Very short. Promote the HCRP. Meet the persons in charge of all hospitals in the city. The beauty of Rotary is that we are spread across the city from South Bombay, Colaba to Dahisar. So meet the people in the hospitals there and promote the HCRP program there. The Rotary and Innoville are well regarded. They are persons of stature. You can meet the deans or superintendents of the hospitals. Convince them to at least allow posters of eye donation outside the ICU. If they're more cooperative, maybe pamphlets. We have got pamphlets from EBCRC on myths and facts about eye donation that can be kept with the reading material in the waiting rooms. If they're even more cooperative, we are willing to train the nursing and medical staff in how to become grief counselors. Then more important is follow-up visits. You see, I've found this, that in Breach Candy Hospital, for example, a club had taken it up on itself. They went and met the superintendent. He said, wonderful idea. Give your pamphlets, give your posters, we'll put it up. And then they forgot about it. 6 months later, when we went there, we found there was not a single poster, not a single pamphlet available there. So it's important for the Rotary and Innoville to do a follow-up to see whether the advice has been followed. If there are teething problems, like they run out of Fevicol, I have no commercial interest in Fevicol, to put up the poster, the Innoville or the Rotary can supply the Fevicol to put the poster up and things like that. So sort out these teething problems. And of course, all of us are leaders in society. I am a chairman of my building society. Many of you all are committee members in your building societies. Talk to friends whenever you can, non-Rotary friends. Sensitize them about eye donation, skin donation, organ donation. If your building allows, like my building allows, they have no choice because I'm chairman. I have a poster of eye donation in my building there. If a death occurs in the building, you can mention eye donation to the grieving relatives and offer to call the eye bank and arrange the whole thing for them because you know exactly how to do it. So clubs can organize a club visit. We used to have these visits in the past. Your club is most welcome. My eye bank manager is Ms. Suchitra Vaiti, and you can organize in the post-COVID era a visit by your members to see the workings of the eye bank, how it works. You can donate money to the EBCRC. Just 1,500 rupees will subsidize the processing charges for one poor patient. And of course, they're all ATG exemption. You can distribute pledge cards, but don't give the pledge cards back to the eye bank. Eye bank has no place to keep pledge cards. So just show them to the family members, especially younger members, and frame the pledge cards and keep it in a prominent place in the home. So even visitors can get inspired. I thank you for your attention. I'll be delighted to answer questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Maskati. Fantastic presentation. So like we had requested earlier, please put into the chat what your questions are. In the next segment, we'll take it. Over to you, Harminder.
Thank you very much, Shefali, for doing a great job. And I'm sure each one of you have enjoyed listening and gained the knowledge that you require to be an ambassador for this cause. And Dr. Quresh has been very subtle in his humor. I hope you had a good laugh while listening to him on this Sunday morning. Well, the district governor is at the installation, and he had prepared a speech. He spent the midnight oil making this speech, and so he thought that he would deliver it through me. Now I cannot modulate his voice nor his face, so you can imagine Sunil Mehra here, and I'm reading out his speech for you. I start like this. He starts like this. We at Rotary are very committed to the cause of organ donation, awareness, and its need. In fact, we are in discussion with lawyers to put in a public interest litigation to the effect that organ donation becomes mandatory unless declined by the donor. So it will not be undemocratic because you have the right for refusal. In reality, the emotional upheaval of death is the most difficult to overcome. And the reality is that it's not the deceased donor, but the family that goes through this phase, and that is precisely where the awareness is required. When a family member moves on to find his or her place in the heavenly abode, why should we not consider that they live on even beyond their mortal remains? Why should we not be able to donate these parts or ourselves, which we cannot take anywhere, to someone struggling to live life? We cannot take our wealth, we cannot take our possessions. Why take our organs when they too can be useful and we can live through them? Why reduce them to ashes and when they can be used for our very own human race? Ask ourselves, we immerse those ashes and then never see them again. But the eyes we donate can probably see our children throughout life. Ask yourselves, we will never hear from those gone away, but our children can hear our heartbeat in the recipient. Organ donation is a gracious act, reaffirming our faith in humanity. In reality, is a gift of life. I congratulate Rotarian Harminder, Rotarian Sunil Keswani, and all others of the Avenue team for organizing this wonderful program and their passion for promoting this project in all avenues. Thank you very much. So this is what the district governor has passed on the message. Now we are coming to the last segment of our program, the question answer session. And I have for you a person, Dr. Sunil Keswani, the chief of the Skin Bank, and he will be taking this session. And he's the advisor on our Avenue for 2021, District 3141. Over to you, Sunil.
Thank you, Harminder. I think all will agree we have had a fantastic presentation by all the luminous speakers. We'll go for the questions which have come on the chat. One or two questions I'll start off by answering. Somebody has asked, what is the role of NATO, SOTO, and role of ZTCC? Now, NATO stands for National Organ and Tissue Transplantation Organization, which is located in Delhi. And ROTO is the Regional Organ and Tissue Transplantation Organization, which has north, south, east, west, and central zones. There are 5 ROTOs, regional bodies. And there is SOTO, that is State Organ and Tissue Transplantation Organization, which is there in every state of India. So the purpose of this NATO, ROTO, and SOTO is essentially they are regulatory bodies. They set up policies, rules, which govern the quality of organ donation and ensure that there is ethicality maintained and people follow the guidelines. And they are the bodies which kind of certify and accredit the skin bank or eye bank or an organ transplant center. So they are basically regulatory bodies. The ZTCC, which is there in practically every state of the country, is a body which maintains records and waiting lists for all organs. And they are the ones which decide who gets the organ in line. Suppose an organ is available, suppose somebody dies, ZTCC is informed, and they take the call who's next on the waiting list, and according to the waiting list, the organ is distributed. Another question which was asked is how many organ transplant, tissue transplant centers are there in Mumbai? For skin and eyes, you don't require really a transplantation center. You basically, the team for skin and eye donation goes to people's houses. Also, it can be harvested from hospitals, ICUs, or nursing homes where the patient has died. Whereas for solid organs, as vital organs, as Dr. Rajesh had mentioned, what the vital organs are, and Jankar also mentioned, the vital organs, most of the public hospitals, Sion, KEM, Nair, JJ, as well as the most corporate hospitals have been certified as organ transplant centers, and they are doing organ transplants more or less regularly. And all of these major hospitals, corporate hospitals and public hospitals have somebody known as a transplant coordinator. This transplant coordinator visits the patients' relatives who have become brain dead or on ventilator, and they convince them for an organ donation, explain to them what it all involves, and if they consent, then the organ donation happens. So for organ donation, Rotary does not have to make much of an effort. Automatically, moment somebody is in a hospital, somebody has to die in a hospital only to have an organ donated. He has to be on a ventilator for an organ to be donated, a vital organ. So in which event the transplant coordinator or the ICU nurse or the ICU registrar or ICU doctor will explain to them the nuances of organ donation and will facilitate the whole organ donation. Whereas Rotary has to work in the field of skin and eye donation, because that is what is, nobody is going to convince you. These deaths, many of these deaths happen at home, and it's either the general practitioner who has to certify the death or Rotarians' friends who tell them कि ऐसा हो सकता है. So I think we have to be very clear that for vital organ donation, we don't have to really make much of an effort. Automatically, it will happen. Now, there are some questions for the speakers. First question to Dr. Quresh Maskati. Quresh, are you around? Dr. Quresh Maskati,
Yes,
is he
yes,
around?
I'm very much here. Very much here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Quresh, somebody is asking if somebody is colorblind, can an organ corneal donation still be done?
No, the color blindness is not due to the cornea problem. It's due to a retina issue. As I explained earlier, that any retina issues, the corneal transplant doesn't help. So a colorblind person can be treated with special contact lenses to improve color perception, but you don't need any surgery for that, least of all a corneal transplant.
Right. Question to Rajesh Himmat Singh. Dr. Rajesh, the question is, in terms of organs, has some money to be paid for the organs? Is there some money to exchange hands to get the organ as from a donor, or it comes free of cost?
See, sir, as such, there is no money for organ per se, but the surgery for the transplant that is being done, the organ recipient has to give that money. Suppose the operation is done, certain tests are done, you pay for that. You don't pay for the organs. There is no money exchange for organs. And when you donate, you don't have to pay anything.
Right. Now, Mahendra Bhai Thakkar, Rotarian Mahendra Bhai Thakkar from Bombay North asked, normally a will is read after the last rites are performed. Hence, wish of organ donation is lost. Can we have any other mode by which persons wish to donate organs to be fulfilled? Would Quresh like to take that call?
Yeah, you see, that's what I said. All you have to do is, whether there is a physical paper or not, it doesn't matter. Just tell your next of kin, especially those younger to you, and keep reiterating that, you know, on your birthday or whatever, just tell them that I don't know how long I'm going to live, but as and when I pass away, please don't forget that if I pass away in hospital, get my organs donated. If I pass away at home, get my skin and eyes donated. So you keep reiterating that till your children are also fed up of you saying it, but they will fulfill that wish at the end. So you don't need pieces of paper, pledge cards. These are all extra PR work, but it's not required mandatory by law.
Yeah, can I just butt in a bit, if you don't mind,
Please,
sir?
please, Jankar, go ahead.
You have a lovely butt.
Thank you very much for this compliment, Quresh. Well, anyway, the only thing which today's objective of today's seminar, as I understand, is let's accept the fact that 90% of the people who are attending today's seminar are non-medically oriented. 90%, or maybe more if, okay? What is more important at this moment for my Rotarian friends and also non-Rotarian friends who are attending this is to understand the fact and the importance of organ donation. That's more important. Let's not get into the technical part. Having said this, his or her duty is to encourage everybody in his family to begin with. So when he says that I'm donating my organs, he has to sensitize his family and ensure that whenever he passes away, that that act is enacted upon or executed. By giving me or giving Sunil or giving Rajesh or Harminder a pledge card, it doesn't end there. We are going to go home by saying 25 people pledged organ. That's fine. But what about the reality of life? The reality of life needs to be explained by me, my people, my children, my family, that bhaiya, agar kuch aisa ho gaya, I have donated it and do not refuse it. This is my last wish if you want to honor it. And if you put it in that form, you don't need to put it in any real form. You don't need to give any pledge cards. So the point is, today's program is to sensitize us who would in turn sensitize their family and pass on this message of sensitivity to family members of every other person. That's all I wanted to give you, because as rightly said by everybody and everybody agrees to that, last minute mein agar us bande ne keh diya ki nahi, what can you do about it? Those 15 minutes make a big difference. And that is what I applaud my friend Dr. Girish for it, that he goes there on the spot, talks to the bereaved family and ensures that the counseling is resulted in a positive act. So thank you for such kind of a thing. We need to take home the sensitivity part. Yes, carry on, Sudhi.
Yeah, Girish, is Dr. Girish Trivedi there? Girish, are you there? Dr. Girish Trivedi, are you there? I'm especially mentioning Dr. Girish Trivedi because he's doing yeoman service in the western suburbs and personally goes day and night. He's available for conducting eye harvesting, cornea harvesting, and we are extremely grateful to him and very proud of him to be that he is a Rotarian. Now, most of the questions, Girish, are you there? Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, yes.
Please go ahead.
Like Jankar told that the family members, they should know everything about eye donation and skin donation and organ donation also. I always tell the person that the family members, the children, brother, sister, everybody should be told that if I die at home, then please donate my skin and eyes. If I am on the ventilator, if I am declared brain dead, please contact the hospital authorities, the coordinate organ transplant coordinator, so that they can do the needful. It's a very simple message that the family members should be aware about the donation. This is the best way. This, like Dr. Quresh told, they should be told continuously that if I die a normal death, donate my eyes, donate my skin. If I am brain dead, donate all my organs. This is a simple take-home message.
I think we have been very fortunate, fellow Rotarians, that we have Rotarians from Ratlam attending, we have Rotarians from Bhilai attending, we have Rotarians from up north attending. This has been a fairly well-attended session. And I think more questions can be answered on a one-to-one basis. We will share our email addresses with you. They are there in the Rotary directory. And I hand over to Harminder for finalizing the program.
Thank you very much, Sunil. I hope all of you have understood the subject and have absorbed all the information. We have recorded this meeting and we will put across all the medias, including our website, which is rotaryorgandonation.in. I repeat, rotaryorgandonation.in, and on our Facebook page and on a YouTube channel too. I will now call upon stalwart of our movement, Dr. Satya Agarwala, a mentor and founding father of the Skin Bank at Airoli, past president of Rotary Club of Bombay North, to propose a formal vote of thanks. Over to Dr. Satya.
District Governor Shirley Mehra, the chief guest of the event. Past District Governor Gopal Ji and Prafulla Ji, and District Governor-elect Rajendra Ji, Avenue Director Harminder, advisors PDG Raj and Dr. Sulkeshwani, the great team of this one of the best avenue of District 3141, participating presidents, fellow Rotarians, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to propose a vote of thanks. You'll agree we had a feast of intellectual discussion and wealth of information provided to us to take the masses, donate skin, organs, save life, donate eye and remove blindness from our land. While DG Sunil has not been able to participate in this seminar, but his blessings are with us, and our sincere thanks to him. Our thanks to all the speakers and panel members, Dr. Grace Muscati, Rotarian Shankar, Dr. Rajesh, for their lucid presentation and parting valuable information to us to serve the poorest of the poor. The leaders and organizers of this very important event for giving us the opportunity to attend this important seminar in the challenging times of Corona-19 pandemic. They deserve our loud applause, and I request you all to do so to show our gratitude to them. Our sincere thanks to all participating presidents, fellow Rotarians, Rotaractors, ladies and gentlemen, of being with us on this Sunday morning and making this event such a great success. Sincere thanks to the members of Star Avenue, Projector Director Harminder, who have always led this team from the front, heavily supported by PDG Raju and Dr. Sunil. Avenue Chairs Mehul, Girish, Dr. Rajesh, Dr. Sonal Somaya, and their members of dedicated Rotarians for working 24/7 for this to serve the humanity at large. Last but not the least, to our host, past President Rotarian Aslam Merchant and Rotarian Hema Dalal of Rotary Club Bombay West, and Safali for introducing all our speakers. Thank you all once again for your patient hearing and for being with us. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Satya.